5 surprising reasons why it is very empowering as a woman to learn how to make the first move. So I'm dating coach and TED speaker Hayley Quinn, and I love working with men and women and teaching them how they can go out in real life, build their confidence and meet more of the great dates that they want and learn to love dating. If you are a woman and, to be honest, you're looking at what's going on your dating app, you're not meeting the guys that you want in real life, you're feeling a bit frustrated and bored by the whole experience of dating, I want to switch you onto the idea about how you can make the first move and why that could be great. Now, I can hear why you might feel some resistance around that. I think a lot of the time as women, we're never told that that might be something that we should think about doing. Whilst guys are always told, how do I approach her? The question we're always being told to ask is, where are all the men? So we constantly reinforce this idea that if we just turn up and look pretty, that our dating life is going to fall into place. Obviously, this is not the way of the world. So strategy and reason number 1 that I want to encourage you to start being switched on to the idea of how you can meet more men or women in real life is because we want to break that fairy tale narrative. If you are sick and tired of one day your prince will come, or when he's the right one, he'll find you, and that isn't working out for you right now, I want you to just recognize in your mind, is that real life? Is that how I got that university degree or that amazing career? Maybe not. So instead of just believing that's how we should date, I want to encourage you to think about whether that's really going to work for you and whether that really speaks to who you are as a person. Now, the second great reason I would encourage you to make the first move is it can, in fact, be very feminine. So I hear why you might have resistance around the idea of making a first move in that it's unfeminine. Is it going to emasculate the guy? Is it taking away his role? Am I, in fact, not being patient enough? Now, patience and observation and watching and waiting, they definitely have their place within how you go about dating. However, I believe that right at the beginning of the interaction, before he puts one foot in front of the other and actually walks over and says hello to you, that is much more of a two-way process than you might think. It's not all about him feeling super confident, seeing you being like, this is the woman I must be with, and pursuing. I don't actually think that's how it's ever been. Instead, it's about you really learning how you can invite the men that you are excited to meet to come over and talk to you. And that, I think, is in fact deeply feminine. And it's about being in control of your signals as a woman and understanding how to communicate with men. It's not communicating with a man as if you were a man and walking up to him and being like, hey baby, so do you come here often? Though you can do that if you want. Instead, it's about learning a feminine form of communication, and that just because you're a woman doesn't equal not being proactive. It means that there is a way to be proactive in a way that is still feminine. So that could be that you learn how to give great eye contact, that you start to feel more comfortable with receiving help by asking him if he can carry some drinks from the bar or whether he can take a photo of you and your friend. It may be that you get more used to holding eye contact and smiling with him and giving him that really crystal clear signal that you are approachable and you're happy to speak to him. None of these behaviors are unfeminine. In fact, they're very feminine and will in fact enhance your ability to meet more men and have more of the men that you want approaching you. The third reason that you really want to get in control of these signals and learn how to use them is because there are lots of men out there who simply just do not feel comfortable to approach a woman they know out of the blue without any context and without a signal. This isn't because these guys are weak or lame or unconfident or rubbish. This is because these men have actually listened to stuff like the Me Too movement. They have heard that women don't want to feel harassed. They have a bit of respect for you having your own life. And because of that, they may instinctually hold back a little bit more. So you need to separate out that idea that men don't exist, or if a man likes you, he's going to pursue you. He will, but at the start, he may need that little spark of encouragement for you. So if you always feel like you're being approached by the same guy, you may want to start to get into better control of your signals, learn how to make the first move, and sort of activate all of those shyer guys who are actually the sort of silent majority of men who are attracted to you, and understand how to meet them. Reason 4 why you want to go about this is, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, Hayley, if he was confident enough, if he was the right man for me, he would approach me. Often as a mistake I think that we make as women is we associate a man's willingness to make that initial approach and how smooth and how good he is at doing that with, he is really into me. And often those two things actually, they don't mean the same thing. If a man confidently and capably walks over and says hello to you, this probably just says a bit more about his general level of confidence with women than it does about how particularly interested he is in you. So sometimes by looking at his confidence and competence to make that first move, it can actually be a bad filter for finding men who are sincerely interested. So because of that, if a guy comes over to you and he really has to build up some courage for that, maybe he says something a bit silly to begin with or stumbles over his words, be a little bit forgiving here of that, because instead recognize, okay, not great execution, but his intention was in the right place. And maybe the fact that he probably had to make a bit of a special effort here to say hello to me, maybe that's actually more attractive than someone who can just say that and say hello really easily all the time. Reason 5, spoiler alert, is also that by a man approaching you, it's not the fairy tale or the movie narrative that we've been spoken to about. It's not that, wow, he really wants to, he's seen me, he really wants me, and so he's going to pursue me. Men don't often have the luxury of going into like a big venue, like a big bar, looking around and thinking, wow, that is the woman I'm going to make my girlfriend, and going over and speaking to her. Remember, he's just a normal human being. He's probably in that bar thinking, oh, I quite like her, or she's pretty attractive, or yeah, I maybe would like to meet someone. And the woman that he ultimately ends up approaching and then maybe dating and forming a relationship with isn't the woman that he thought, wow, what a goddess, right from the second he met her. It might be that actually she was the woman who he found it more easy to speak to. She was the woman he ended up talking to. She was the woman he ended up approaching. And then because of how the relationship unfolded after that, he then decided to choose her. So remember, get away from this romantic narrative where one day our prince will come, and when a man sees you, at the first moment he sees you, he chooses you and he knows exactly what this relationship is going to be. Let's get into the real world here. Guys are just the same as us in terms of they have their own insecurities around dating, their own reasons why they might hold back. Sometimes our dating success is also a little bit down to luck and who we end up speaking to. So if you can choose to be an opportunity creator for yourself as a woman, if you understand how to send those signals to him, if you can send him that cast iron signal that lets him know you're approachable, if you can even initiate conversations yourself and meet more men in real life, all you're going to do is move yourself to a position where you feel more confident and more abundant when it comes to dating. And you know what? I don't just say this stuff from my hypothesis. I actually go and teach women how they can go out and meet men in real life. I do it in the real world, so I have lots of experience with how this actually works. If you are curious about where all of the men have gone and how you can meet different kinds of men by getting switched on to meeting guys in real life and taking some of that responsibility yourself, please head over to hayleyquinn.com/real love. There's a link below this video, and in that I've got a three free video series giving you some pointers about how you can ensure that you're the woman that he actually approaches and makes the effort to meet. If this is you, please head over there, and if you have enjoyed this video, please like, please share, comment, and turn on notifications for my channel. And I hope to see you again soon.